Alexa devices.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. You know, last week we had so many incredible shows. I love Coast Vue because it gives us the opportunity to celebrate the people who are leading on the front line. Introducing you to some people maybe you don't know, and then when it comes to what's happening in Jackson, we'll from time to time have legislators and key state leaders who are not from here, who have a love for coastal Mississippi, who can sort of share their perspective and tell what's going on in their world. And we had a little bit of all of that last week. So thank you for joining us. By the way, if you miss us on 103.1, you can always go back to the Facebook page or the YouTube page for SuperTalk. And you can also, spend some time looking at your favorite podcast. I'll listen to the shows, re-listen to the shows on podcasts often because I might miss something during conversations. I always like to go back and listen. If I'm out working in the yard or whatever, I'll listen to a conversation that I had with Tish Williams, for example, from the Hancock County Chamber, just to make sure I didn't miss anything that she had to say. I'm learning so much for this show. And one other thing, we announced yesterday that I'm going to be the new host for SuperTalk Outdoors, a new show in partnership with the foundation. It's the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, not the department. It's a foundation that raises money to support efforts to conserve our ability to enjoy the outdoors in the state. They like to say they work to conserve our outdoor heritage. But I'm thrilled to be the new host of SuperTalk Outdoor, a statewide show going to multiple radio stations across the state so we can talk about our love of the outdoors and how that plays out, whether you hunt or fish or do any number of other things that we have the incredible ability to do in this great state. I can't wait to bring that program to you on SuperTalk Radio every single Monday from noon to 1. What a great opportunity that is. I can't wait to meet so many great celebrities, actually, that are enjoying the outdoors and industry people like Mossy Oaks and Primos Outdoors and so many others that are contributing to spreading the word about Mississippi around the world, I might add. But anyway, I look forward to you joining on that. So without any further ado, let's move to my friend Tish Williams. And like I said, she's been on the show a bunch of times. I always like to go back and listen to my conversations with Tish because they're always inspiring. And she's always got something good and positive to say. But she's the CEO of the Hancock County Chamber, and she's been there for a long time. She's seen that county through thick and thin over a number of years, and she's just a good friend. Tish, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing great. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Listen, my sister Mitzi, who lives in Guff Park. No, let's see. Where does she live? She lives in the small community in Ocean Springs. I can't remember the name of it, to be honest with you. But she took a ride over to Bay St. Louis this past weekend, and she knew before she went. She'd been paying. She listens to my show. She listens to you on my show. She listens to people like Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, who sings Hancock County's praises every time he's on the show. So she's aware that there's a renaissance going on there, that the pandemic has lit a fire. Even if you could, your fire was already lit. Certainly the pandemic brought that more to fruition. But, the number of people from New Orleans that are coming over and in some cases just reestablishing their roots here or rediscovering this place. But it's thriving. She knew when she got there it was going to be thriving. But when she got there, she was on Beach Boulevard and she took a picture and she sent it to me. She says, "Holy mackerel." I mean, thriving probably is not the proper adjective to describe what's happening in downtown Bay St. Louis. I'm sure the same thing could be said for Diamond Head or even Hancock down in Waveland. But it's thriving, isn't it, these days?
Yes, it is. And really the pandemic has been the catalyst. Because, especially our friends from New Orleans who have so many great memories of growing up here on weekends and in the summertime, they're like, wait a minute, I can just live there year round. Why not? Great quality of life that we have here.
It really is. And, I had I can give you so many examples, but one of the best examples, you and I think have talked about this before, but Julian Rankin, who's the executive director for the Walter Anderson Museum in Ocean Springs, I mean, he's one of the most articulate young, not just museum leaders, cultural leaders, but just leaders in general here in coastal Mississippi. What a bright star he is. But he often talks about sending people over to Hancock County. You know, he wants people to use the museum as sort of a base station for operation, and then go explore these beautiful cities that make up coastal Mississippi. And it's interesting, when I talk to you or others from leaders from Hancock County, you send them over to Jackson County and Ocean Springs as well. But man, the opportunity to experience all these different and diverse, characteristics of coastal Mississippi is, we work together, don't we? I mean, when they say one coast, that's how it works together, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm excited about your new show, because really that is what we have to offer here, and we really don't market that enough, do we? That's the experiences that people want.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, it takes all of us working together. And coastal Mississippi is stronger when we work together and recognize and observe the diversity that exists in each of the communities. I often say that each of the communities of coastal Mississippi has its own unique sense of place, but when you bring all those things together, it's amazing. That's why it's been disappointing to watch the coastal Mississippi tourism effort kind of, to some extent, fall apart in front of our eyes with the firing of Milton Segura. I think the board members from Jackson County have said they're not going to attend any more meetings until a series of circumstances are met. We'll talk more about that at some point in the future. But what do you observe in all of that?
Well, I have tremendous respect for Mark Henderson, who said it so well in his Facebook post. I am not on that board, so I don't know all the details of what happened behind the scenes in the executive sessions. But I think that Mark said it well. He said, I may be resigning, but I'm not quitting. And he offered some solutions on how everyone can have a seat at the table. Because when you think about it, it's the cities that are benefiting from the sales tax diversions that are generated by increased visitors. So why shouldn't the cities have a seat at the table? Right now, they don't. So I think that he has brought forth a solution to the problem. And let's explore how we can make it better, because right now it's not one coast. One coast can't just be a brand. It can't be a slogan. It has to be a verb. And we have to demonstrate that we are one coast, and the actions that we've all seen that have taken place over the last few months do not communicate that we are one coast. And it is very disappointing.
It is disappointing, but the way I look at it is, it does create a defining moment for change. That is for sure. And as a community grows up, as a community matures, there's going to be opportunities to tweak things along the way. I mean, that's just the reality. So creating this coastal Mississippi tourism effort legislatively was a good step, and it was the result of a good compromise, et cetera. But we're finding that 2 or 3 personalities can literally change the course of history. No board can, no regional board should allow 2 or 3 personalities to change the course of history. That can't be. The other thing that concerns me greatly, and I hope that this is fixed, is that people can be appointed to that board who don't have a dog in the hunt, who don't work in tourism. Maybe they're retired, and I mean, there's a role for retired folks. But the point is that when you have a dog in that, in other words, when you've made a significant investment and you employ people, and that your success or failure, your business, your personal success or failure is based on getting this right, it's going to change the kind of decisions that you're willing to make. And so when they enable themselves over many months to lead up to the termination of Milton Segura, who's one of the most data-driven people I've ever met, and frankly, 100% supported by the gaming community and many in the business community, then something's not right. Something's not right when that happens. And I'm proud that Milton will probably stay in coastal Mississippi, at least for the time being, because we're going to need his advice and counsel as we sort of figure out where we go from here. But you're a big supporter of Milton, weren't you?
He has been such a gentleman. He is highly experienced. He's brought so much to the Gulf Coast, and he's always treated me with tremendous respect. And I know others feel the same way about him. So, it is hard to take that there was some problem with his contract or whatever. I don't know the details. The bottom line is we know we have made history, okay, by bringing the coast together through the Regional Tourism Commission. But now we've got to fix what is broken. And we need to look at all the options because we are almost there. But now we see that there are problems with the legislation that need to be fixed.
And we'll be focused on getting that done. I'm really pleased to see the number of people, the top-notch leaders from all three counties that are involved in that effort, and hopefully we can get it done. I'll be watching every step of the way and talking about it. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Tish Williams and find out what's the latest at the Hancock County Chamber as they focus on taking advantage of these incredible opportunities in front of them as this economy over there just continues to thrive. We'll see you after this break.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices. Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I always enjoy the opportunity to catch up with Tish Williams because she's so in touch with her community. she's such an advocate for her community. And if you go all the way back to the days after Hurricane Katrina through today, Tish has been this like unbending, passionate advocate for her community. And what's interesting about studying the Hancock County Chamber is that it has continued to sort of mature for the moment, whether it be multimedia, doing their videos and their podcast, or whether it's focusing on their program at work, or whether it's their leadership programs that are incredibly dynamic and important to their success. Your ability to form strategic partnerships with so many of the incredible businesses that do business in your area, you have to be able to you have to hit on a lot of cylinders to have a successful chamber, don't you?
And it keeps it really interesting because as one after another comes our way, we change to meet the demands of our community and to give our members and our community what they need, the information they need to be able to continue to grow their businesses.
And and that's been critical during the pandemic. What I've loved about what you guys have done is, and I see several chambers have done this, you didn't have to be a member to seek help and advice from you guys. You kind of, all bets were off. We're here to serve the community, and we're going to make sure we're sort of a conduit for information. At the end of the day, you just put business success, whether they were a member or not, business success at the top of your agenda during the pandemic, and it really paid off, didn't it?
It helps if everyone would be a member, but yes, we are here for you, whether you're a member or not, because these small businesses don't have the time to do the research and to look into the details that affect their business. One of the things that's coming up is, it's going to, some people may not even be aware of it, but flood insurance changes are coming. And, if it wasn't complicated enough, starting October 1, the whole rating process is going to be changing again. And so we are going to have a webinar, what we're calling the Power Hour Coffee Call. All of our coffee calls are now virtual. Because it's more effective, more efficient, and people can tune in when they have the opportunity, just like they do here on your show. And we actually have an expert that's going to come in and talk to our community. Anyone can Zoom in, they can listen to it on Facebook and ask the questions, that they need to get the answers to. And the most important thing is to realize that you will be penalized should your flood insurance lapse.
That's just a major change. I've been keeping up with. Who's going to be the spokesman or the speaker for that?
So we have the Senior Vice President of Compliance and Agency Training with Right Flood, and it's going to be brought to you by South Group Insurance. Everybody knows Angeline Trutel-Zerang, and she is our host for this webinar. That's
good to see. I mean, you can't educate enough. There's always big changes. Right. And business people are moving fast, man. It's so easy to miss something important like changes in the flood insurance program, but there are dynamic changes, and it's more than incremental, isn't it?
It is. And if you want to tune in, it's on Wednesday, September 29th at 10 a.m. and it'll be on the Hancock Chamber Facebook. And then we'll put it on our podcast as well. So, how will you be able to reduce your flood insurance rate? You can add flood mitigation for your home. You can look into higher deductibles, private flood markets, and pray for no flooding in our area.
Pray for no flooding. Wow. And then, of course, you've had historic floods, not just from hurricanes, but across the nation. And that puts even more stress on the program. In fact, unfortunately, you've had stress on areas that have flooded that were not even in the flood zone. We know that well because we had to face that after Hurricane Katrina. But they've tried to continue to work to make the national flood insurance program one that, to some extent, pays for itself. It's almost like pay me now or pay me later. If they don't have the flood insurance program, there's going to be billions of dollars of recovery that's going to be required to do some kind of recovery effort after these major events. Mm-hmm. And the flood insurance program is important to all of us. It's really important. It's also important that it be affordable, because if it's not affordable, it makes it very difficult for businesses and especially residences to be built in areas that are, so many areas here in coastal Mississippi, especially because of Katrina. Katrina, the highest storm surge ever recorded in U.S. history. Here, what that did is it pushed the base flood elevations for coastal Mississippi extremely high, which means a lot of areas that would not normally be flooded areas or areas subject to flood, and that same elevation is not subject to flood insurance requirements in places like Pensacola or Mobile, et cetera, because they haven't been hit by a hurricane. To some extent, we're at a disadvantage because of that. We need an affordable program. This is a step toward creating that, but it remains to be seen what the reaction is going to be as people start getting their bills and understanding what zone they're in, et cetera. There's a lot to learn about it, isn't there?
Yes. So I hope everybody will tune in on September 29th at 10 o'clock.
So let me ask you a question. What is the latest on, I think you did virtual leadership program before, maybe some face-to-face. What are you going to do going forward with your leadership program?
We just kicked off the leadership program. We've gone back. We tried a virtual program. It's just not as effective. We don't believe, everything about being part of a chamber is building relationships. And as much as we try to do that through Zoom and through our virtual sources, certainly it's more effective to be one-on-one. And so just last week, we kicked off our new leadership class. And we're really excited that we're going to be able to move forward, with the program as we have known it in the past. This last year, we did a leadership legacy program for our alumni. And so that helped to reignite relationships with our 500 alumni. But we're glad that we're back to where we used to be, and that our citizens will have the opportunity to participate in the leadership program as we've always known it. And one of the people that's in the leadership class is our new library director, and that might be somebody that you want to bring onto your show. And he comes to us from Northwestern University Libraries out of Illinois, so he's very credentialed, and I think he's going to be a great asset to our community.
Oh, that's exciting to hear. I agree with you. It's hard to do a leadership program. I've been involved in so many over the many years that doesn't give you the ability. I certainly, in the pandemic, if you have to use technology, you have to use technology, and that's better than nothing for sure. But the value is what happens between meetings as people have, strike up these impromptu conversations, or what happens when they're having a glass of wine at sort of social events or whatever. It's, they're developing new relationships. What happens when they go back to work and they keep those conversations going? You never know where those, unique connections will take you. And if you go back in the history of leadership programs across the coast of Mississippi, a lot of the people who are in the key positions today were the people working together during the leadership program back then, and they're more effective today, not just because of what they learned in the leadership program, but because of the relationships they developed during the leadership program. You see that all around you, don't you?
Yes, and this year we started a new leadership program for our Women's Leadership Roundtable, and we actually kicked that off last week too, where we are, through our Women's Leadership Roundtable, we're matching up mentors with mentees. And so we have 10 groups that will be building a relationship with each other over the next year. And we believe it's going to be a life-changing experience for both the mentor and the mentee, to be able to learn from each other and to build relationships that will last a lifetime.
And, you said that so well, and it sounds good. And sometimes people say those kind of things and they don't mean it. But in your case, you say it and you mean it because you've seen it. And it empowers people. I always come back to what John Hairston said, because it was powerful. And Roland said this, and Jerry St. Pé said this, and all these, leaders that George Slogel, so many others, they say it similarly, but the way John said it was pretty powerful. And he said, you just don't choose to go lead the Hancock County Chamber, for example. You have to do your reps. You got to get involved. You got to be involved in committees. You got to do numerous different nonprofit organizations so you can see how the world fits together. And then as you do your reps and flex those muscles, you take a step forward and take a step forward. That's what the leadership programs are about. It's about giving people a chance to do some reps, flex some muscles, see where they might be interested in using their leadership. And it just makes a huge difference at the end of the day. How's your team there at the Chamber doing these days?
Oh, they're great. We have really turned into a multimedia organization. And so thankfully I have put together a great team with Ann Petrie and Jessica Pilata, and it's just an amazing team. We're going to be celebrating our key businesses and outstanding citizens on November 4th. Finally, it's taken us almost 2 years to be able to have our annual awards gala. So I've got a number of small businesses and citizens that we're going to be recognizing, and you should probably have them on your show. So
yeah, please. Hey, you know me. All you have to do is send me the names. I mean, we'll add them to the list, and we'll get to them for sure. Hey, we're coming to the end of our time together, Tish, but thank you for giving us an update on what's on your mind these days. Thanks for your continued leadership, and we look forward to seeing you again in the very near future.
All right. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you so much. When we come back, we're going to have Dr. Mobi Solange.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Get the scoop on what happened in college football and what to expect in the NFL. Each Sunday on Sports Sunday with Michael Borky. Get the story behind the stats, 8 to 10 a.m. on SuperTalk Mississippi, supertalk.fm, and watch the show on supertalk.tv. SuperTalk Mississippi. We're more than just words. This is where the story of your state is told. Proud to cover the Magnolia State like nobody else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
Wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show
on SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I'll always enjoy visiting with the Chamber of Directors. I say that all the time, but Tish Williams obviously is no exception to that rule. Her work in Hancock County over all these years is really, really, really important. And I'm so thrilled to have her not only as a regular guest, but a friend and someone I respect greatly. And man, when she speaks about one coast, she means it. She is she understands that each of these communities have incredible diversity, but she also understands when we work together on common issues, we can achieve unbelievable things. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to catch up with her today. So now let's move over to my friend, Dr. Mobi Solange. Now, you know him. He wears a bunch of different hats. So first of all, he's the president, executive director for the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies. We're going to talk about a rescue they did recently. We'll come back to that in a second. He's also involved in this organization I've talked about several times, the Mississippi Sound Coalition, which is really looking into diversions that come from the Mississippi Sound and how that affects the Mississippi Sound, especially things like the Bonnie Carey Spillway. He's a science advisor chair for that effort. And then, of course, Ocean Adventures, who had a great summer in spite of the pandemic, and we'll get an update on that here in just a second. But without any further ado, let me just say good morning to my friend, Mobi Solange. Hey, Mobi, how are you doing, buddy?
Good morning, Ricky. I'm delighted to be on your show. I know you cover quite a bit of things, and we're ready to let you know things are going really well.
So why don't we do this? Let's start with Ocean Adventures. People wonder, we have an aquarium in Gulfport now, we have Ocean Adventures, each kind of have their unique approaches. You've sort of just focused on what you do well, and Ocean Adventures at the end of the day had a great summer. Tell me more about that.
We really did. I mean, there was a lot of pent-up demand from 2020. And then, of course, people didn't go far enough to, like Orlando and other places. And this was a bumper year for us. And a lot of people came from Louisiana and Tennessee and Arkansas. And so we did extremely well. We were able to adjust our schedules so that we were able to accommodate the regulations about social distancing. We had all sorts of precautionary measures. And again, we have a very unique experience. It's very interactive and people really enjoyed it. We had a lot of repeat customers, which we're very privileged to have.
What was smart about our approach, and I had Milton Segura on the show many times early on talking about it, that over 80% of the people who traveled to coastal Mississippi, came here by cars, and during the pandemic, they realized that people felt safe in their cars. And so we're going to really zero in on promoting coastal Mississippi as a safe destination, because we knew that, again, so many drove here. I had Fofo Gillich on the show last week, and he talking to me about the incredible success that the Biloxi casinos have had. We had like 4 months in a row of $100 million plus revenue, $100 million plus a month. And some people said, well, it's because of the stimulus checks. You know, the stimulus checks went out there and people just spent a lot of the money. And, you know, what's interesting, if it would have just been because of the stimulus checks, then every tourism destination in America would have had a bumper year, but that's not what happened. You know, every tourism destination in the country was having really difficult numbers, and we were holding our own because we got focused around, from a data-driven point of view, where are the opportunities to bring people in here, and you were the beneficiary of that, weren't you?
Exactly. We had a couple of good things going for us. Number one, we were very affordable. We were in an area where people wanted to kind of not go too far. And I think we were one of the very few organizations that let anybody go. We maintained our staffing. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, we increased our staffing. And so this has been my lifetime of things. Every time I've had a disaster, whether it was Katrina or the oil spill, we've always come out ahead. And for I don't know what reason, we were really hunkered down. And this was astonishing to see that these were numbers that we would not have expected, especially when the schools were closed, our field trips, which is our bread and butter, weren't there, which were then compensated by folks that were within 150-mile distance driving, and we were having a field day. And again, we also have a very unique experience, and the repeat business is what I think made a big difference for us.
I know it did make a difference for you, and we could go all day long even about your commitment to have people from the Delta and North Mississippi come down here and be able to enjoy and touch and understand the vital role that coastal Mississippi plays in the overall ecosystem of the environment. But we don't have time to go into all those things, but I want to congratulate you on your success with Ocean Adventures during some difficult times. And I think one of the reasons it's been so successful is, one, is you got a great destination, but second, the interactivity that is there and how important that is to you. And you love to give people a chance to get as close as possible so they can understand it and touch it. And man, that makes a big difference. Hurricane Ida, you're a scientist then. I mean, that's why you're chair of this important group as part of this Mississippi Sound Coalition. You're a scientist. You spent a lifetime studying how dolphins are the canary in the mine to sort of the biological health of the ecosystem. And so when a hurricane hits, and one as really difficult as Ida was, particularly for South Louisiana, it had effects that were wide-ranging. Why don't you kind of give me an update on what you're seeing by that?
Well, we were really prepared for the worst. Ida was predicted to be as much as Katrina was. And for Louisiana, I think it was a worse disaster than Katrina. But we dodged a bullet. I think we got a lot of rain. We had no damage. Louisiana got the brunt of it. And they had also quite a bit of ecological damage to their systems. There were some dolphins that were found dead in Plaquemines Parish. There were also, like we can talk about a little bit, of a dolphin that stranded in a drainage ditch in Slidell, and we were able to go help and rescue, especially with everything closed in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's well, we can get to that. I mean, it's interesting. When a hurricane comes, people are kind of in the immediate aftermath. We know this well. They're kind of focused and pay attention. And then other news comes up and we get on with our lives and people aren't as focused as they normally would. We understood that well after Katrina. But in the case of Ida, the damage to the bayou and river parishes down further was just incredible. And ecologically, you're talking about wetlands damage. You're talking about, in some cases, oil spills. Obviously, every time there's a boat sinks or a ship sinks, you're going to have damage from that. But you had some of the oil rigs that released some oil. nothing that's gigantic in nature, but when all these things add up and add to real challenges, and that concerns you, I know.
I mean, it has changed the landscape of the ecosystem. I mean, both on the eastern side and the western side of the Mississippi River. Some of the smaller communities that depend upon their fisheries, they're going to suffer for a few years.
They are definitely going to suffer for a few years, but you know what? They're resilient. They're resilient.
And one of the things that's really interesting, I spoke with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, and one of the things that's going to be really important for Louisiana and Mississippi in the next 15 or 20 years, as we shift to renewable energy and others, oil and gas is not going to be as important as food security. If you listen to all the United Nations speeches, and the seafood basket is Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, and I think if we don't take care of our ecosystem and ecology, we're not going to be as much dependent on oil and gas as much as we're going to be looking for food throughout the world.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be the key for Louisiana and Mississippi survival.
So Mobi, we'll talk about the dolphin rescue in the next segment, but give me the update on what's the latest on the Mississippi River diversion projects as part of the coalition effort.
Well, I think if you've been following, and I think you need to get Gerald Blessey back on, the federal court refused a couple of their pleadings, which was related to the Corps of Engineers' ability to direct and redirect the river. However, one thing they kept was the effect of the river diversions on the ecosystem, the marine mammals and turtles, which is what we've been telling them is that, yes, the Corps of Engineers has discretion as to when it can open and close various spillways, but they do not have a mandate to affect or the decision could affect the protected and endangered species. So the things that's going to keep that lawsuit alive is the type of work we do. And we will talk about a little bit about the type of work we're doing to provide the data to state and federal agencies to make sure that those dangers are considered in the way the Corps of Engineers makes its decisions.
So we will get Gerald back on to Gerald Blessey, who is actively involved in that effort. This is one of the most important issues we could talk about long-term for coastal Mississippi and the health of our ecosystem. The Mississippi Sound was never meant to have all that river water, the pollutants that are in it, the fresh water that come into the Mississippi Sound. That's not a good thing. When we come back, though, we're going to talk specifically about a stranded dolphin rescue that took place in Slidell on September the 5th. We'll be back after this break.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi. Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I have Dr. Mobi Solange, and he's part of the Marine Mammal Stranded Network. He's a key member of that effort. And on September the 5th, you know, when you think about hurricanes, you don't often think about what happens to all these incredible animals that are underneath the water. You know, I mean, one obviously is the dolphin, and they discovered one and a small one in a pond, literally in a pond in Slidell on Lake Pontchartrain Drive. And Mobi and others came to this porpoise's rescue. They ultimately released it off the coast of Waveland. But for our YouTube and Facebook audience, Kyle's going to show a couple of photos as we go through this. But tell me about that day, Mobi.
Really, right after the hurricane had passed, on the 30th, we got a report. There was a drainage ditch that had a dolphin in it, and it was like a 300-foot long, 50-foot wide drainage area that was used for flood control. And so we sent a team in, they looked at it, they photographed, they saw there were some lesions developing. It was in dire shape, and NOAA, which has jurisdiction, put a team together because the Louisiana Stranding Network was really not functional. And so they had folks from SeaWorld. We provided about 20 of our individuals. We provided nets, logistics, boats. We had people from, Dolphin Island Sea Lab, and our veterinarian served as the lead veterinarian in this effort. And so we were able to capture it safely. We were able to examine its health issues and criteria. We put a satellite tag on it, brought it to Waveland, and put it into hopefully good conditions for its survival. This was a really small animal. It looks like these huge waves pushed it right into through the Lake Pontchartrain area into one of these drainage ditches. So it was a lot of people got together, the law enforcement, folks from NOAA and the Sheriff's Department in Slidell. Everybody from the higher ups in Louisiana got involved and asked us to help, in which we were able to participate in this, very unique venture.
What's interesting about it is literally for the radio audience, it's literally a drainage canal. I mean, think of your typical Louisiana drainage canal. They had to erect these barriers out of nets in the drainage canal to contain where this animal could go, and eventually were able to get close enough to it where they could get it and take it out safely. And then, as you pointed out, check it out and whatever. But what it was shocking about the pictures are the number of people involved in that effort. I mean, when you say there's a stranded mammal, and in this particular case, it was delivered from essentially the Gulf into this, eventually through the Lake Pontchartrain into this drainage canal. I mean, the people came out of the woodwork to help in that effort. That's the beauty of the Stranded Network, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not. People think, oh my God, you can put a net and catch it. But there's a lot of danger, in the safety of the people and the safety of the animal. These are, air-breathing animals, and if they go into a net and you can't recover quickly, they're going to drown on you. There were alligator gar in those drainage ditches, so there's lots of things that you had to navigate to rescue it safely. These are extremely important animals that tell us a lot. They're like black boxes of the ocean. And by monitoring them through their movement, we're going to be able to discover a lot of things as to their use of the habitat, why are they using it or staying away from it. So these animals serve a very unique function and purpose in that ecosystem.
So what do you know about it? Do we know much about it since you released it?
Well, we've followed it for a while. Some of these batteries don't last that long. And sometimes they have issues with fresh water. And so we were able to track for a few days. We were able to see that it was swimming along the coast. We hope that it found a pod and, assimilated and moved on. But like I said, we have not received a recent signal, but at least for the first few days, we know that it was doing well.
Well, that's so cool to see. Kind of reminds me, and I won't bring up a bad subject, of the dolphins that were captured after Hurricane Katrina that were released from marine life. What an incredible story that was.
Yeah, no, that was even more incredible than this. I mean, they could have been gone. They could have not come back, but they did come back, and we were able to save all of them, which was, I think, a very remarkable event that hasn't happened in world history as it deals with marine mammals. And so these are animals that somehow didn't want to go.
They didn't want to go. They didn't want to go. Wow. I mean, again, you and I've had that story before on Coast Vue, but what an amazing story that was. Documentaries and books. Yeah. Say it again.
I said books and documentaries have been
done on that. There you go. There you go. Anyway, this has been Dr. Mobi Solange. He's the president, executive director of the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies. And of course, they have Ocean Adventures over on Seaway. And if you haven't been there, you got to go take a look at it. It's one of the top attractions in Mississippi. And he's also deeply involved in the Mississippi Sound and the health of the Mississippi Sound. And he's also a good friend. So I admire him and look forward to chatting with him again in the near future. Have a great day, my friend.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and good luck with your show.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook, facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.